So I want to talk a little bit more about selling a property in the fourth quarter. Then we're going to get to buying a property in the fourth quarter. What should you know? What should you be aware of? What sort of tactics should you be employing? So on and so forth. So I want to get back to a few of these myths with regard to selling real estate in this type of market where the market just is very heavily favored on the seller side of the transaction. And one of those myths is that you just don't need to market your property very strong because the home's going to sell itself. You know, as soon as it goes in the MLS, here's what I want you to understand with regard to marketing. Almost all of what real estate agents do to market your property for sale is reactive in nature. And what I mean by that is as soon as your property gets entered into the MLS has syndication agreements with all different kinds of websites. So as soon as your property goes into the MLS, it goes on every single real estate agent's website. It goes on every single real estate brokerage's website. It goes on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Redfin, you name it, it gets broadcasted everywhere. For most agents, that's it. That's all they feel they need to do because now it's in the ether, it's out there, and wherever somebody's looking is where that home will appear. Well, that's all well and good, but they are now relying on all of those other websites to generate traffic and to generate buyer interest and to hope that your home is in the right place at the right time for a buyer looking for something like your home. In other words, there is no proactive measure being taken on that agent's behalf to find buyers for your house. It's not like they're creating interest in your property and then driving them to Zillow. You know, they go to Zillow anyways. There's nothing they've done to create that interest. So the question is, two questions. Number one, what can real estate agents do to find actual buyers for the properties they represent? Do they even have the capacity to do that? And then secondly, is that necessary? You know, should agents be learning how to market properties proactively? Should they be learning how to identify buyers demographically, geographically, through online behavior, and then creating dynamic marketing campaigns that cater to those specific people? That's what we do. I'm not going to get into how we do it because there are a lot of agents that listen to this program, but I don't know of anybody else in this market that does what we do from a marketing perspective because we have the ability to walk into a home and determine what type of buyer would be interested in that type of property. And in most instances, there are multiple types of buyers, whether it's, a first-time home buyer, or a move-up buyer, or a buyer with kids, or maybe they're relocating. Maybe it's a second home. There are all these different types of buyers. They all have individual demographic profiles, right? So first of all, we have to understand the demographics around the buyers that would be interested in a property like yours. We need to make sure they're interested in real estate in your area and in your price range. And we need to look to see if they're displaying online behavior that leads us to believe they're getting ready to make a move. If we get all three of those boxes checked when we go through our data and the companies that help us with that, then we market our properties proactively to those buyers. We drive them to a website for your home. If they click on the information and leave their contact info, then boom, we call them. Our average call time is 18 seconds when people inquire on our properties. I'll put that up against anybody in this market. We're really proud of that. And even if they come to the website and they look at your home and they choose not to leave their contact information, well, we've all heard of cookies at this point. So we just follow them around the internet and bring them back to our site. Because the reality is, on average, it takes 13 months from the time a buyer starts their search online until the time they actually buy something. So in addition to proactive marketing, the ability to actually find people that would be interested in a home like yours and reach out to them directly, you also have the benefit with very few agents in town, I would think. We certainly have the capacity to do this because we've been doing this for years. But because we've been doing this method for years, we already have a bunch of buyers that are looking at our website on a daily basis, which is why when you go to our website, listingsincharleston.com, and you click on the sell tab, one of the features is for us to show you how many buyers we have in our database for your home. It's going to look at your zip code, your price range, your bedrooms, your bathrooms, your square footage, and based on that, we then just match that up to the buyers that are in our database that are looking at properties we're sending them that are essentially just waiting on the sideline, waiting for the right property to hit the market. So here's the key, and here's why this is important, because everybody wants a multiple offer situation on their home. Everybody wants to be able to sell it for more than it's worth. If you're doing the bare minimum from a marketing perspective, and you're one of those sellers that chose not to do anything to your home to fix it up, even though you probably should have, and if it's overpriced, then chances are, after about 30 days or so, when your listing becomes stale, you're going to have to make some sort of adjustment, and you're going to have to hope that that adjustment that you make is in line with what buyers are willing to pay for your property. But when you do all of these things and you do it the right way, first of all, it doesn't take that much more time or effort on your end to, bang out a few weekend projects in preparation for professional photography before we put the home on the market. But when all of these things come together, when you're working with an agent that really gets it, that really understands how to market property, and they understand that one of the greatest assets for somebody that knows how to market really well is the ability to create urgency around a listing. If you can do that, if you can create fear of loss, if you can create that feeling or that thought in the buyer's mind of, wow, if I don't make an offer on this property, somebody else will, then I think you're leaving money on the table. So can you sell a property by doing the bare minimum, taking some photos with an iPhone, throwing it in the MLS, calling it a day? Yeah, sure. But are you getting the most money you could for your house? I mean, you really only get one shot at it if you're going to sell it. So, I guess that's not entirely true because there are still plenty of properties that are on the market for 3, 6, 9, 12 months that don't sell, that come back on the market with another real estate agent. But if you're going to sell it and you're going to cash in that check, you want that check to be as big as possible. So make sure that when you're talking with a real estate agent that, you're asking them the question of, how are you going to find buyers for my house? And I once you ask that question, and now that you've heard this, you'll be able to point out the real estate agents that have just gotten really good at kind of spinning the story to make it sound sexy, when in reality, all they're doing is taking nice photos and throwing it in the MLS. Again, it can work, but if you're working with an agent that's charging you the same or less commission and doing way more and has way more features, more experience, those I think are the types of folks that you should be at least thinking of hiring, rather than just going with your friend from church, or your weekend softball crew, or the person that you grew up with or went to high school with. Give yourself a chance to really see what it looks like when a professional real estate agent with a lot of bells and whistles and experience to back it up gets their hands on a listing and really does a good job with it. If they can paint that picture, and it just, it's so much more than what your friend might be doing. Some people, let's just put it this way, some people are better at just being friends than they are at being your real estate agent. And I know that there are a lot of folks that work with people that they know, like, and trust. Sometimes that gets taken advantage of, and sometimes at the end of a few months, not only do you not have a home that's still on the market, but you don't have a friend anymore. Obviously with me, you don't owe me anything. But anyways, I wanted to make that point really clear, because there are a lot of people out there that are choosing the bare minimum and choosing basically not to do anything to their property and choosing to price it higher than they know they should. And those are the people that kind of get left behind. Those are the people that other agents or other properties use as leverage to sell their home before yours. So if you'd like more information on that, if you want to learn more about what we actually do to market properties for sale, how many buyers we might have for your home right now, or just what your home is worth to prepare for the event of selling at some point in the near future, then give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. Send me an email, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. And stick around for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.